Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So today I was planning to do a test of the new software update, but unfortunately this night it started snowing. It's not that heavily, but it is freezing as well, so the situation is a little bit too dangerous for the actual test because autopilot at this point is not suited for these conditions. But anyway, so I thought I'd give you a little update on the UNECE regulations as far as that is possible. Now in December, almost 2 months ago, the UNECE had another meeting about the regulations regarding autopilot. Several points were not discussed in the September meeting. I made a video about that as well and I'll link it up here. But we don't know what exactly has been discussed at that December meeting, as I look today and the report page still says that the report for that meeting is forthcoming. Now it's been almost 2 months and I think it is really ridiculous that it takes that long to write a report about a meeting that really concerns a lot of people and automakers of course as well. Now this past week the UNECE had another virtual meeting to talk about the regulations, and there were many documents submitted, so I hope they did have time to discuss all of them. And I'm not going to cover all of them because not all of them are really that relevant in terms of autopilot, but I do want to look a little bit deeper into the following ones. Now the first one is about the S-curve, for example, where the car enters the curve at a too high speed and then it starts braking really heavily to get it back into the lane, but in the meantime it has already crossed that lane, so if there were any oncoming traffic then that would be disastrous because it would basically be a head-on collision at that point. The real reason why things are going wrong there is because of the limitation of the lateral g-forces. So that corner is too tight at those speeds and it exceeds 0.3 meters per second squared, or about 0.3 Gs if you round it off. Now, what the proposal currently says is that for vehicles up to 80 kilometers an hour, the system may exceed the limit of 3 meters per second squared of lateral g-forces for up to 2 seconds of time by not more than 40%. Now the reasoning behind it is also documented. It is to have a grace time in order to deal with unexpected changes in the radius of the curvature of the bend by allowing the system to exceed it by a maximum of 40% for up to 2 seconds. This will allow the system to offer consistent mitigation and slow down to return to the limits. Now it is currently also doing that, slowing down to that limit, but it is doing that very harshly, and at the same time it is still sticking to that limit, so it is going outside of the lane. If this regulation is approved, then basically what it can do is it can stick inside the lane and have that 4.3, 4.5 G or the 0.45 I should say G force while slowing down, so it keeps it in the lane. And I think this is a really good rule because I can understand that they don't want to have sporty driving in autonomous mode, which is what you do in that kind of situation when I'm talking about the S-bend, for example. But you don't want to have this behavior where it leaves the lane. So this is basically the mitigation. It keeps it inside the lane and slows down at that point to reach that maximum of 0.3 meters per second squared. And then it can continue on as usual, but in the meantime it is keeping you safe and keeping other cars on the road, of course, safe. So I really hope that this regulation makes it through and we can take the S-curve at proper speeds and with proper reactions in the next couple of months. The second proposal I want to take a look at is the one for the auto lane change. Now, first of all, there's also the unconfirmed lane change. Again, that is on the table. It was not discussed in September. I don't know about the December meeting. As I mentioned, the report is not out yet. but the unconfirmed lane change, that would actually resolve a lot of problems that we currently have with the really big gaps that are required to be able to do an auto lane change in Europe. Now, what this suggests is, instead of the 5-second rule, you have 7 seconds to start the lane change. So I made an entire video about that lane change procedure as well, and went into really details of what it means and how it actually works with all the different steps. I'll link that here as well. But you can see on the image on the screen that basically the car starts blinking, then you have a 1-second gap where the car cannot move sideways, and then within 3 seconds it needs to start the movement, and before 5 seconds it needs to cross the lane marking. So you basically have a 2-second window, which is really narrow, and you really have to time your auto lane change, especially since you as a driver need to initiate it at the moment. That's where the unconfirmed lane change really has its value, because then the car can monitor the gap, and if it sees a gap that fits, then it can start blinking on its own, and it's not the driver that needs to guess the timing where it is possible. So that would solve a lot of problems, and I really hope that will make it as well. But here, for the driver initiation, Avere already made a suggestion last year in February to extend that to 20 seconds. Now that got shut down immediately because it was too risky and not structured enough or not concise enough, even though Avere really had the data to back up the claim from real-world driving, where they monitored vehicles that were driving and then see, okay, how long does it take for a vehicle to do that maneuver when driving manually, and we should simulate the same behavior with autonomous cars. Well, the committee didn't accept that, so now there is a 7-second instead of 5-second rule. That gives us 2 additional seconds to do that. I don't know if that's enough, but any time that we get is going to be a big enhancement. So those are the topics that I wanted to highlight a little bit for you guys, that these are being discussed at the moment, and hopefully they're also being accepted, and soon, within a couple of months, we will be able to enjoy our autopilot a little bit more. So as usual, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and make sure you click that little bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. And for now, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.